Good morning.
Good morning.
I thought I would spend the next 20 minutes mansplaining to you what it really means to be a mother. Just to see what sort of reaction I'd get. But I thought maybe I really didn't want to sleep on the couch for the next few weeks. So instead I thought I would do what I can do, and that is, let's talk about one of the premier mothers in the Bible, which is Mary. And it was tricky because I'm used to reading the Gospels and thinking about her son, and her son, and her son, and her son, and thinking about Mary was a bit of a trick. And we, in the Protestant tradition, we've really sort of dropped Mary from the way we think about the Bible and about faith, because, well, this is historical, so I don't really know this, but during the Protestant Reformation, there was, in the Catholic Church, so much emphasis on Mary that the Protestants sort of tossed the baby out with the bathwater and decided not to talk about Mary at all. And so, right, if you're a good Catholic, you would know, like, yeah, Hail Mary, Mother, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. But how many of you here can finish that? Okay, there's a few, but right, it's sort of part of church tradition that we've lost. So we have these stories of Mary. And the first one, of course, is the Annunciation, the time when the angel comes to Mary and says, you're going to have this child, and he's going to be sitting on the throne of his ancestor David. So I guess the first lesson here is don't take God literally. It's a good lesson to learn, I suppose. Right? But it's worth understanding what expectations were in those days, because they were so different than today. That in Mary's life was basically pre-programmed for her from before she was born. She assumed that she was going to grow up, and all of her time growing up there were kids running around, because this was a village and everybody's kids just sort of ran around. In that part of the world, people basically live outdoors rather than us who live indoors. And so she's wandering around, and there's kids to take care of. The moment she hits 3 years old, she's taking care of kids, and she grows up that way. And at some point, she's going to have kids of her own. She's going to, someone's going to find a husband for her. Right? That's her parents' job. Right? And then she's going to move into his parents' house, which is going to be a move of probably 30 or 40 feet. Right? And she's going to move into his house, which simply means that he's going to build a bedroom onto his parents' house and move in there. And she's going to start adding to all of these kids that she's been taking care of all of her life. And the firstborn, the job of the firstborn is, of course, to take over from the father. So her firstborn, she assumed, was never going to leave home. We sort of think about, you raise your children so that they get old enough to leave home and become independent. Right? Mary was expecting to raise children so that he never left home and he never became independent, and he stayed home and took care of her for the rest of his life. That was his job. Right? And things were just sort of, this cycle was just going to go on and on and on. And so when she gets this announcement that Jesus is going to be different, she doesn't have a roadmap anymore. She doesn't know, like, so right? Quick, how do you raise the Son of God? Well, it's sort of, I don't know. Right? So you make it up as you go along, I suppose. Right? Even more so. I mean, right, for a modern mother, there's this huge change in motherhood. But in Mary's day, not much change. There's kids all around, and now there's one more. No big deal. Right? But suddenly you got this one who's going to be something else. And so, yeah, like Rachel said, Jesus must have been no picnic to raise. And so, when he goes and wanders off, because, I should be in my father's house, says the 12-year-old boy, which admittedly sounds like a 12-year-old boy sort of thing to say. Right? But again, not really what's expected at all from a 12-year-old boy in those days, because he isn't planning to be. And then he gets older, and he seems to stay home for like a long time, until he's somewhere near 30. And I'm sure at some point Mary was thinking, so like, let's get on with this. Right? You're supposed to be king of Israel, and here you are at home farming. Oh, and he gets disciples at some point, but I don't know, in the John story, has he left home yet? He still seems to be at home at age 30 with his disciples. Right? And then, right, they go to the wedding, and they run out of wine, and Mary says, no, take care of it. And he says, what is this between you and me? My hour has not yet come. Which is a good line if you're 12. Or 16. But he's 30 by now. Right? And so Mary's having none of this, and she just sort of ignores whatever he says. And Jesus does the miracle because Mom says so. Right? So it's sort of this, and then, right, the next verse in the story says, and then they went to Capernaum, which is not back toward Nazareth, but sort of off in the other direction, off in the opposite direction. And we don't know why they went to Capernaum, but maybe she's sort of hinting at this point, hey, look, other places to live. Because if you're going to go off and be king of Israel, you got to leave home at some point. Maybe they went like apartment hunting in Capernaum. We don't really know. But even then, when he's in Capernaum, that's the wrong direction. Right? If you know this geography at all, he's supposed to be heading basically straight south from Nazareth to Jerusalem to be king of his, the throne of his ancestor David is in Jerusalem, and instead he heads directly east to a little fishing village, middle of nowhere, really, in a lot of ways. Right? It's sort of like if you were, raised your kid in Morgantown to be president of the United States, and so he decides to move to Kentucky. I mean, that's not even the right direction, kid. Right? So she, and what do the people of Capernaum think of him? Right, from the Mark story. They think he's lost his mind. And his mom has to, Mom hears about this, and she only lives like a day's walk away. And she walks the 10 or 15 miles from home to Capernaum to take him home because she hears these stories. Oh, by the way, your son is gone crazy. And so we have this other confrontation. He does this horrible thing, saying, who are my mother and brothers? Oh, what a kick in the teeth that would be for a mom. So we have these stories, and then trying to figure out what is Mary thinking through all of these times. And of course, at the end, the story started with an angel coming to her and saying, he will be great, and he will be on the throne of his ancestor David, and of his kingdom there will be no end. And now she's standing at the foot of a cross, and he's on it. And he says, well, you go to John's house now. Which is interesting because even though he is the incarnate God, he still has responsibilities, and he knows it. He still has a mom, and he's still responsible for his mom. And so he does his thing. He does what he has to do to take care of his mother. I don't know what his other brothers would have thought of this. Right? He's got brothers, and presumably if the older son dies, the second son would take care of the mom. Did Jesus not trust his brothers? But in any case, he has responsibility. He takes care of them, except that then he dies on a cross, and his mom watches. All of these stories remind us that mothering is hard work. It's just hard. Even if your child is the incarnate Son of God, it's hard work. Most of you mothers have probably experienced times when your children at least thought they were the incarnate Son of God. And it's harder work then, probably. But here we are, and we continue on mothering with the mothering God who walks with us, who journeys with us, and we continue this journey together.